Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special budget session number 2 meeting for Village Council for today, Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. Judy, if you could do the roll call, please.
Yes, Stokes.
I am here.
DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Housh.
Here.
We are expecting Trish Gustafson any moment. Also present is Village Manager Johnny Burns, Assistant Village Manager Elise Jardulo, Michelle Robinson, our Finance Director, is here, Tiffany Hiser from the Shared Resource Center, and Village Solicitor Amy Blankenship.
All right, thank you for that. We do have an important event this evening, so we are going to try to be as expeditious as possible. Appreciate everyone's support in accomplishing that goal. So for agenda review, this is the time when we get to take a look at items on the agenda, consider whether there's something that ought to be pulled or something that needs to be added. I would resist the temptation to add anything, given the previous comments.
Well, I'm going to suggest we add one thing, which is just a couple days ago was our auspicious clerk of council's birthday. So thought we all might want to wish Judy a happy birthday.
Well, let's not change the agenda, let's just sing.
Oh, please don't sing. His happy birthday is great. Thank you, you're welcome. Bye.
Related, Judy.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, because you said please, and I'm not in best voice anyway, so, but happy birthday.
Thank you.
Look great for 29. Love it. Regarding removing items from the agenda, there's this piece of legislation that I want to discuss. It's my understanding that there were some meetings that took place to the point where we have perhaps decided to go another way with regard to this item. I don't know if I should hand it to our solicitor or to Johnny, or...
I'm happy to address it. So following the last council meeting last Monday night, council had asked the village manager to get some quotes for a review of payroll. And Johnny has since done so. He can speak more specifically to that. But it was determined that the Shared Resource Center, which is who Tiffany is here with, and the village is already under contract with, is capable of doing that review. And since they're already an existing vendor of the village, we don't need a new contract with them, meaning that the resolution is not going to be necessary. So I think at this point, Johnny, I know you had spoken to some other vendors. Nobody was...
I did. I spoke to Julian and a group, and they was not able to provide it in a timely fashion, but said keep them in mind for something else.
Okay, all right. Judy, do we need to do anything formal to pull this off, or just as part of review, just remove the item?
Yes, you can just go ahead and remove as long as there's agreement among council members. That's your purview.
I've seen 2 nods. Any 3? Seems like we have at least majority, if not consensus. Brian, you're...
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll share is that, you know, and I think Johnny and Tiffany are aware, like, we want to be judicious about the spending on this project and kind of keep informed about how that's going. So, so I think that's the only thing just to put on the record. Yeah.
And Judy, you know I love a motion. So a motion to remove Resolution 2025-54 from the agenda wouldn't be inappropriate.
So moved.
And I'll second it. All those in favor of removing this item from the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you for your participation. Thank you, Amy, for keeping us as straight as we can be. All righty. We're now moving on to our budget updates, and it looks like we've got Michelle and Tiffany leading that effort, so I will hand you all the floor.
All right. In the past, 2 weeks since we last met, we have met with the department heads. We've worked with Finance Committee on shaving down some of the deficit. Even though we couldn't reduce it completely, we have shaved it down. In the budget notes that you guys have in your packets, there is an error. It says $520,000. We do have it down to $512, and that's from $820 at the last meeting. This does not include the council-sponsored projects that you guys will discuss and decide tonight. In the budget sheets, The changes that we made are highlighted in green, just so that they're easy to pick out. Some of the items that we did change, we reduced the capital initiatives and lowered some of the general fund transfers. We also moved some of the police capital items, we moved those to service contracts because they were more related to service contracts, the body-worn cameras, the dash cameras, the tasers. Those are under contracts already. So that's why we've moved them from the capital initiatives over to the contractual services. We also did move a one-time cost. We added budget to the Ellis Pond and Community Gardens. We moved that from the council sponsorships to contractual services. Even though we're still showing a deficit budget, Johnny and I are going to work our hardest to make sure it's balanced for 2026. We believe we can balance it for 2026. And even though we're looking at 27, 28 deficits, our plan is to return it to a balanced budget by 2028. Really, that's what we've gotten down to. If there's any questions, we can address them as we go.
Okay. Council, do we have any questions, concerns about any of the details of Michelle's update?
So as far as the department capital budget request for the car, I see it as an RDN, and I want to discuss later why it's considered an RDN.
Okay.
For the listening public, that's a right darn now,
With an AM and an N.
as opposed to, nice to have. Okay? Any other comments? Tiffany, did you want to add anything?
No, I think she did a great job summarizing. I think Gavin's going to go next to update from Finance Committee, and so I can follow suit.
Okay. Well, it sounds like Tiffany has handed you the look at.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just hit these points briefly. I didn't put together a memo this time because there's just a few points. So just to say, we reviewed and honed the capital expenses. I think the most, essentially looking at the RDNs and then the needs. So just so it's clear, that's like things we feel like we have to do right now and things that we're going to need to do, some of which we don't have to do right now, if that makes sense. It still raises questions about many of the items. I think, over time, we're going to have to discuss. I think we have more learning to do about how we approach these things, but I think we're making progress on it. And then there's a removal of projects that were not needed or putting into consideration for future years. I think it's also worth noting here that the capital budgets that we're looking at now have essentially gone through like 2 rounds of cutting. So it's like staff came and said, here's all the things, and then finance director and village manager went through and cut things down, and then they got cut down again at finance. So just so everybody's aware, I think that got referenced in the last meeting, but I just want to make sure that people know that it's not like this is the first pass. And then we discussed whether there were any areas of the budget where we expect lower spending and feel this, and ultimately, we think this budget is pretty accurate. There are sort of exceptions that we feel like we can't change. So for example, like we offer benefits to everyone who comes on staff. We have to put that in the budget, but not everyone who comes on staff is going to take benefits. So there are places where we feel like we have a sense of where the numbers are probably, there's going to be a little bit of flexibility, which is part of the reason why when Michelle says that, and I think Tiffany talked about the last meeting, that there's an ability to sort of manage to a balanced budget. That sounds, I think, pretty realistic. It doesn't sound like, so you might be thinking, well, how is it realistic to balance $500,000? Well, it's because of things like that. It's because of, for instance, we have 10% baked in. Did we end up at 10 or 5?
10.
10% baked in on capital expenses for contingency, essentially. Don't think we'll need all of that, but it feels prudent to have a contingency, but it is likely that it will be less than that 10%. And that's, so let's say it goes from 10 to 5%, for example, that's $50,000 right there. So anyway, just to say, those are, we tried to look for any, the other big one I'll say is staff, where we have all of the positions in for all of the year, and I think we're all aware, there are often times where someone isn't in a position for the entirety of the time.
Right.
And so then, say, one of us isn't here for, I don't want to pick on anybody, one of us isn't here for 3 months, the budget will have 3 months less of a council member spending, but we will have that full amount is in the budget. The next thing was just, next thing was the contingency, I just mentioned that. Our sense is that this approach lowers deficit spending for the year and begins the process of right-sizing so that we have an easier path to balancing the budget in future years. And then I just mentioned that, these ongoing questions about how we manage capital expenses, that continues to be sort of the big question. And so I think we have more work to do on that over time, but, we've definitely come a long way over the course of this year. And then just continuing the question around balancing our priorities is just, that's the hard work here, is what do we want to invest in as a village? That's the ongoing question. The only other thing, I was going to say is just that I do think that we've come quite a long way over the course of this process this year in getting better information, and I think there is a challenge that we've had with these. We're in the third finance director in the last few years. We've had 2 village managers. There's been changeover in council, and those things do create challenges. I think we're on the right track right now at understanding where we are, but we still have ways to go. So I think those were the things that we had talked about at Finance Committee, but anybody jump in if there's things that you think I mischaracterized or things you want to add.
The only other thing, if I may, is at the end of our last budget hearing, we asked each of you for some additional pieces for us to explore, talk through, analyze. And I do want to just put on your radar, there was a conversation about funds remaining. There was conversation about in-kind programs. We had conversation about affordability and affordable housing, that fund in particular. Capital funds, there was a lot of conversation. I think 3 of you had asked to look a little bit more closely at the capital initiatives. We did that as a finance committee, and happy to report, I think both Brian and Gavin will agree that we have vetted those, that we've looked into those, and have made movement on those. And a lot of that movement is then incorporated into the plan.
I'll just say 2 things. One of them is going back to what, Michelle highlighted about her and Johnny and the team working on balancing the budget, at least in 2026. Going to be a lot harder moving forward. Is that also requires, council's involvement in thinking about, in concert with staff, where we can trim things. And then the second thing I did want to emphasize, when we do get to council initiatives and we've got some timing for different pieces, we do have some of the requesters here. And so I just wanted to let council members know, if you have direct questions for any of those folks, that is part of the process that we contemplated, so.
Thank you, Brian. Ben, on the note that Brian just made, if we do have some, we don't have a typical setup with the podium for the public to speak. So if someone,
Do not take public comment during
well,
work
not
sessions.
public, but some of the stakeholders, if you would, in some of the issues that we're asking, or we might have questions about.
I think it's only if there is a direct question. There are no statements to be made.
Understood,
Right.
understood. So technically, Ben, can we just hand?
I can get another microphone.
Okay, great, thank you. Sorry for geeking out on everybody, just trying to look for what's in the best interest of the listening community. All right, any other comments or questions? Well, for Gavin, in terms of his update from the Finance Committee?
Did we
Right.
want
Yeah,
to go
I'm
back
sorry.
to Carmen's question about the police cruiser now, or do we want to wait towards the
Now's
end?
as good a time as any.
Okay. Johnny, I don't know if you want to help take the lead on this too, because he was in a meeting with Enterprise about an option for police vehicles. So you have more information, you and Elise.
So what is your, not to put you on the spot, but.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I was
Okay.
prepared. One of the things that came out in our last budget session that was, as far as priorities go, for me, in my mind, it's important to have safe running police vehicles. But I think what supersedes that is having communication and equipment for our officers. You stated at some point, well, Paige stated at some point that her computer was down for 3 days. And the communication is being able to communicate effectively and have effective technology to communicate, for me, comes above a vehicle. Because if there is a breakdown in communication in any part in the chain, it could really be life or death.
So let me answer the first about the communications. We have backups. Her computer was down, but she was not able to do work outside of her office. So we immediately was able to get that done. Tech advisors worked on it, tried to repair it a couple of days.
Right.
Third day, we went to, and purchased another computer. We had the funds to do it.
Okay,
Tasers is an ongoing contract. I know you had mentioned
Sure.
that earlier. We removed that from
That's right.
capital budget
Stuck in there.
into, because that's under contract, and we have that covered as well,
okay.
so.
So the other point that I wanted to make is that operational police vehicles have to adhere to standards that a regular car doesn't. So my brakes, I need brakes done. That's a decision that I can make. A police cruiser can't, that's not a thing. So we're talking about, brakes as soon as there's an issue. We're talking about new tires, and I'm sure there's a schedule. We're talking about tune-ups, we're talking about wearable parts, shocks, struts, CV joints, all that stuff. We're talking about that stuff. We haven't had to replace the engine in this vehicle, have we?
Close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, close is not having to replace it. So the average, it's a, 2017?
That one is in 2017.
So it's like, $2,500 a year?
No, it's more than that. This one,
I
I
thought
can tell you.
I'm sorry, I thought Paige said it was $20,000 in at the last, $20,000 on this vehicle in the last, since 2017.
Majority of that is, which has been the last 2 years.
Okay, so if we're not going to average it out, if we average it out, it's $2,500 a year, which is about how much it costs to replace those things on a yearly basis, keep the vehicle operational and safe. So I just, I personally would rather see the officers have all the equipment that they need. Top-tier communication. That means not having to scratch and scrounge and scrape for when a computer goes out or some technology goes down. I'd rather see updated technology. So for me, I understand and also appreciate the work that's gone into this, but the priorities are, my priority is communication, that's for safety, so.
And I want to assure you that that is top safety for us. Those are covered. Those are not even a budget issue. What's a budget issue is the car.
Okay.
And our mechanic that we take it to has said, get it out of the fleet. It's past its lifetime. It's not even, normally what we do is if you look out there, we'll actually take them from police cars to a staff car. This is not even qualified to be a staff car. It is literally, it will be put into gov deals as soon as we take it out of the fleet. That's how bad it is.
So you're telling me that it's unsafe to drive?
It is,
Sorry.
yes, I'll tell you that, because that's what the mechanic says.
Okay.
So, if I could just, on this topic of the cars, I think this is where when I mention, and this is just me, this is not the finance committee, it's just me.
Sure.
When I think about the work we have to do in the finance committee for next year, it's going a level deeper. So on the cars, for example, right now, we've primarily been looking at, do we need $80,000 for a car? And then you have been privy to basically the entirety of the conversation about it. So just so you have a sense that, like, when we're going through in the finance committee, we're not, you see how many numbers there are. We're looking at the big stuff. We're not digging into each individual one. I think the work for next year is we have to go deeper, because that's part of the challenge. Is then we have to look at, okay, show us the maintenance, you know, all the stuff you're talking about,
Right.
put it into a spreadsheet or a memo. How do we compare it with leasing? And so I think that's the, so I'm saying I would like to look more into this. And in general, the bigger numbers are all going to require more scrutiny. And then even some of the smaller numbers, when you add them up, we have to have a higher level of scrutiny too. And that's sort of the difference of going from feeling like your budget is in a pretty good position. And as a reminder, we are in a pretty good position. It's not like we're going to run out of cash tomorrow. We have years of runway, and we see that the trend has concern in the future, and we want to curb that before it's a meaningful problem. So I just want to put that in context, because I think we have more work to do, and I want to just sort of signal that to everybody that we're aware of
I
that.
hope that through any of my comments, that wasn't, you know, that I didn't understand that. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I'm just, not at all, yeah.
And I'll say that we did meet with Enterprise, and what you do is you basically, if we was to go to the Enterprise route, right, you're gonna take that 205,000 and you're gonna spread it out over 5 years. So that is an option. It's probably not the best option because you're not going to get an electric vehicle in that. You're not going to get a hybrid in that. That is going to be a Durango that they can get at the cheapest route. And they're going to outfit it, and then they're going to put it into our fleet. So literally, it's going to be about, we have to put $45,000 down in the first year, and then it's $39,000 a year for the next 5 years. And if that's a route that council wants to go versus spending the money this year, we can literally look further into that, but we can do that as we get the budget. Because the more vehicles you add on to that, if we was to take our entire fleet into this over the next 10 years, then you would literally be paying about $142,203 a year, every year, because you're getting new vehicles. We, as a Village of Yellow Springs, we keep ours longer than anybody around us, because we got 2 square miles. Literally, we have 2019 trucks that doesn't even fit into Enterprise's criteria anymore because they're 2019. Well, to us, that's a pretty new truck. So we would keep ours longer, so their turnover is going to be, they like to turn them over because they can resell them and they can put that money right back into the system. So that's where we have to contemplate. By the time we purchase a vehicle for the police department or we purchase a vehicle for the public works, the one that Brad's wanting to replace is a 2010, it's 15 years old. Well, if we was to do the Enterprise, you're literally turning that one over every 4 years or every 5 years. They like every 3 years to be able to turn that over, but that's just, they're an ongoing payment. So this way, we're able to get 10, 15 years out of it and move on.
I'm glad that you brought up Brad, because we also heard that wastewater untreated sometimes, right, and that's, for me, that's up here. Him getting a new vehicle and ensuring that there's not human waste blowing around people working is up here.
Any further discussion on this or any other item? Okay. All right, so if we're ready to move into the council-sponsored events. Now, Tiffany, it does say that you would, in addition to facilitating this portion of the meeting, also says that you would keep time, but we do have our handy Big Brother clock that can take that task off your hands.
All right.
So you can focus more on the content. 3 minutes, yes. Thank you, Ben. So, Tiffany, did you want to preface this portion with any comments?
Yeah, thank you. So there were 2 questions that we're hoping each of you, as we get to your topic, 2 questions that you can answer. What's the minimum ask? And what is the value proposition of this initiative given the village's financial constraints? So those are the 2 questions we hope to have you answer. At the end of your 3 minutes, there may be some staff context that Johnny, Michelle, and/or others in the room, staff can address that would speak to those things, and then just open healthy dialogue to finish it out. Hope to cap each of these off at 10 minutes. They're ordered here from smallest dollar amount to largest dollar amount. And so we're just going to start there. We didn't want to take any other specific order. So we will hand the floor over, Kevin, to you to talk about the high school banner.
All right, thank you for that, Tiffany. So at this year's high school, all-year high school, Yellow Springs High School reunion, I am not a graduate of Yellow Springs High School, but this year would have been the 50th reunion for, it's an all-class reunion, but it was also the 50th reunion for the class of 1975. Yeah, that predates a lot of us in this room. And in my conversations with some of the folks, I was asked about, doing something special for this coming year, the class of 76. And because I had been involved with a couple of over-the-street banners, including the Juneteenth banner, I thought it would be a good idea to consider the village doing this for the high school reunion group, since we would have a hand in, at the very least, of installing the over-the-street banner, of going with our regular vendor. And if you've seen the Juneteenth banner, it's a banner that pretty much always has all the basic information, but where, the year or the date or any other date-specific items might change, those are patches that you can change on a yearly basis. So I said that I would support and hence made this proposal that the village sponsor this banner, initially on behalf of the class of 1976, which I'm also not a member of. I'm actually 77 from Patterson Co-op in Dayton Public System. Woohoo, yeah. Yes, old and crusty is what they call me. So with respect to the questions, when we talk about the village values and a welcoming community, these are folks, that show up in mass. They show up for those all-year reunions. And I think anything that we can do to help a lot those folks coming from across the country, contributing to the village in various ways, socially, financially, and others, I think it was a small thing that we could do. Again, the estimate, the request was for $1,000. The minimum, I'll go ahead and talk about that, and I would yield to staff in terms of working with the vendor. And Cameron, I think did you not? Wow, that was quick.
It didn't feel that way.
No, it did not.
On that note,
I'm joking.
nope, $1,000, that's what it is. It's just $1,000. And what I was going to ask Cameron was, I think you'd done some design work on some of the banners, so certainly, I think staff could do a lot to help move this forward, make it not a real difficult task. The minimum is less than that, but I baked in just a little bit of money to do those patches as we change from year to year. This year we'd be doing the next year we'd be doing the 50th reunion for class of 76, and obviously would change each year. I don't know what else, working with the folks at the high school, what else would need to change, but certainly, with the year that we're celebrating. So it's $1,000, give or take. It could come down if we didn't want to do the extra for the patches, and certainly using Cameron's expertise for design, that would probably, I know I'm putting you on the spot, Cameron, reduce the cost. So it could probably come down to about $700, but I think a nice round figure of $1,000 is not very much. And I do apologize for being as long-winded as I was. 3 minutes does go fast.
All right, so we're going to transition. We're going to give staff the opportunity. So Johnny, Michelle, Cameron, if you guys have anything to add to that.
I'll speak for staff. It was a pain in the butt to put the patches on.
Okay.
Because they literally had to cut all the wind holes. They literally sized it wrong, so we had to get it back to them to resize it. So it's literally staff challenging.
But practice makes perfect, so now they know how to do it right.
But I also think that this is something that maybe the high school could help fund for the high school reunion versus the village funding the high school banner for the reunion. So that's just mine and staff's.
Okay. Yeah, I don't actually know to what degree, the high school, other than if they host the reunion gathering, that the high school actually, does much for the reunion, because they sort of a self-perpetuating thing. It just happens every year because folks graduated every year. But duly noted, I understand.
I also say that we do in-kind services for helping store the banners, install the banners, take the banners down, clean the banners up, come in on emergency calls when the banner breaks. So I think in-kind services trumps the cost of the banner.
Ooh, couldn't come
And how
up
long
with a
does it
better
take to
Sorry.
put up and take down a banner?
It takes probably, well, here, I'll ask Ben. Ben's in the room. It takes 2 bucket trucks
word. 20 minutes?
20, 30 minutes to roll the truck.
for 3 guys.
I think we also just need to be a little cautious about volunteering staff time for some other outside of village project, because that is also a service, so.
But it sounds like we're committed to installing the banner.
We are committed until I can get council to approve the cost of us putting banners. It should not be up to the electric enterprise to install banners without cost.
Oh, so we should raise the $1,000, is that what I'm hearing? To a higher number?
No.
That's what I heard.
Remember the 512?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is, on some level, this one is sort of emblematic of the broader sort of thing that I've been really grappling with over the last, several weeks and last couple months as we've been wrapping our head around the budget. On the one hand, it feels like it's just $1,000 or just $700. On the other hand, I'm different from what I understood to be the case over the last couple of years. I'm nervous that we have to at some point sort of trim our belts or trim our whatever you trim. And it's hard because I like a lot of these things and I would like to see us be able to do a lot of these things. But when I look at our budget projections, I'm nervous enough and I feel like we have to start getting a handle on it. So anyway, so I, on some level, none of these comments are going to be personal to anybody's thing. I'm just looking at the big picture and thinking, man, we got to trim at some point, and it feels like it might be time.
Well, we removed one of my requests, which was $100,000. Yeah, I'm getting looks like nobody remembers that. But yes, between the first budget meeting and now, a $100,000 request was pulled. So I tightened my belt, I trimmed the fat. And I hear what you're saying. I mean, $1,000 here, and if you have a lot of $1,000 requests, then it does add up. I'd like to, I will not be on council next year when this money does or does not get spent. But I'd like to submit that I would, I would help clean the ban. I would do something reasonable to help take some of the burden off staff.
Kevin, really quickly, not to interrupt, but I want to know if you've reached out to Yellow Springs Alumni Association?
No. Yeah, no, I haven't, but, yeah. But I know that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that it would, working with them would maybe bring us down.
Bless you.
But I agree that it's something that, of course, for me, it's a different relationship. And it's kind of a place and community celebratory acknowledgement, cultural thing. I support it, but I just wanted to know if you'd be interested in also reaching out to the Alumni Association.
I will reach out to them, because there would be, if the banner keeps getting used year after year, there would be some additional costs each subsequent year.
Sure.
Just, changing patches and whatnot. And so I will commit to reaching out to them.
Are you committed to the patches, though? Can we just all class reunion and because patches are a problem?
Well, because it's the 50th of some year, of one class every year. And the folks that I spoke to who are part of the 76 and now 2026 class really wanted to sort of have their moment in the sun. And I think it just makes folks feel a little extra special.
Well, how you think the 10-year people are going to feel or 25-year people are going to feel?
Wait, they'll get to 50 eventually.
All right, that concludes the 10 minutes that we have allotted. So the way I think this should go, as it indicates at the bottom of the agenda, there needs to be a motion inclusive of a specific amount, a second, and then a vote on whether or not council initiative for the high school banner is going to move forward.
Okay, I just want to say something really quick. So I love the idea of in-kind in the village, working on hanging the banners, just like we do with the graduates, for the high school and whatnot. And I'd like to see how fundraising goes, and my counter would be, if that money can't be generated, there's always an opportunity to come and ask us for some support. So anyway.
Do we have a motion on the table?
I move that council support this effort at a minimum amount of $500. With the caveat that additional necessary funds will be raised or otherwise provided by myself and/or other outside entities.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Judy, do you mind?
Roll call.
Voice vote is fine unless you really want to, okay.
Let's do voice.
Want a roll call?
Yeah, roll call.
Okay, Housh,
No.
Brown,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
No.
Stokes.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay.
All right, This time, we're going to move on to fireworks. Gavin, you have 3 minutes.
Well, just based on my prior comments, holding myself to the same standard, I'm okay with taking it off the table. Yeah, I think it's a great community event. There's lots of good things about it. It's nothing personal. It's just, I think we have to try to get our budget closer to balance.
And before we take it off, I do want to say, I reached out to the Odd Fellows and talked about, how did this work in the past? What they mentioned to me is that they were always able to keep the fund balanced through not only the fundraising that happens at the event, but also reaching out to various local businesses and other supporters. So I guess I'd like to see more effort put in that direction, because it was sustainable for before, so.
I would also like to add that, again, we do a lot of in-kind for the fireworks. It may not be cash for the actual buying of the fireworks, but we have at least 10 officers on at a time, and we have 3 public works on. So that's 13 employees that the village is paying to be here for the safety of the public.
Okay. America 250, Carmen. Okay.
Good. Oh, sorry.
You have extra seconds if you want to roll. Go ahead.
So I am basically just going to read from the memo that I put. So we have a resolution. It's pursuant to Resolution 2024-29. It outlines a year-long America 250 programming. It's 12, what I have is 12 monthly educational outreach events, a flagship July concert, and a Labor Day community barbecue. There are a lot of events that we can work with the state with. The Labor Day community barbecue is a statewide thing, so the barbecues and community picnics are part of the larger programming from the state, and the monthly educational outreach events, I think I asked for $7,500 for those specifically, and that is for honoraria and for paying speakers to come and, well, to create programming, given their whatever their area expertise. One of the examples is Richard Wright, who's a writer, native son. He was in exile in France right before he died, and he wrote a large body of haiku. And we have Professor Haikutani at Kent State who edited the thousands of haikus, and he's right here in the state, and he's very interested in coming and doing a speaker series about it, or doing a 1 or 2 hour talk about it. And there are dozens of people that are willing to come and do that, but the $7,500 is for the honoraria per, I mean, not $7,500 per, but that's what that's for. July main stage concert, so regional and national performers coming to do a concert in the month of July. Ultimately, we'd like it on maybe 4th of July weekend or the weekend after, featuring music, early American music up until the present. And we have people that are, like I said, national, regional, and local artists who are very excited to come to Yellow Springs to do that. I put $10,000. That's for stage rental, production, equipment, and to pay the performers. Labor Day community barbecue is $2,000. That's also for obviously purchasing food, equipment, rental of tents, tables, chairs, and then a $500 program contingency for extraneous things. And the way that I justify this, the program ensures a year-long visibility, host a marquee concert, and fosters community connection. But more important than that, especially now, is, and I want to get on my high horse, but it's a learning opportunity for newcomers to be informed about the contributions that Yellow Springs has made to the region, the state, the nation, and literally the world. We've had a big impact on a whole bunch of little things that's really added up. And I think that it's important for us to know that and to reconnect with that. It's community building, which is something that we need more than ever. And I will also add that arts and culture always suffer when we start talking about budgets. And really quickly, these are the things that hold community together. There are mechanical things, obviously, that are important, infrastructure, of course that's important. But events like these bring people together and foster community and rekindle that sense of community that we've always had here. So that's my spiel. And the minimum I will take is $19,900.99.
Johnny?
The only thing I have on this one is we still have a lot of in-kind, not necessarily for speakers, but for if we're doing a concert or other things or barbecue, we'll have definitely things that we need to be able to do. But I don't know.
Yeah, Jenny, are your in-kind things, would they address some of the items like staging?
No, we don't do no staging or sound or anything like that. That would all have to be done, just like in our street fair.
We would need police, obviously, we would need,
Depends on where it is,
Right.
barricades and.
Well, for that signature, but, yeah.
Conversation?
I guess I just want to reiterate two things. One is that 250 years celebration of the nation.
semi-quincentennial.
Yes, ooh, you got it, you nailed it finally, yeah. I need to- only comes down around once every 250 years. We were very excited about this a year ago when we passed a resolution, and I'm compelled by the case that Carmen made, and arts and culture are important to our community, so, yep.
Any other conversation? Okay, can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve $19,999.99 to support the, what is it called again?
It's the America 250 programming.
Oh, you want the fancy word.
Semi-quincentennial. So semi's half, quint's 5, and then centennial's 100. And it
Oh,
just, and see, like, right.
semi-quincentennial,
And
okay.
it took me like how many months?
No, okay,
Yeah.
now I got it.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, Housh,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
No.
Brown,
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Passes?
Okay, Brian, we're going to turn over to you to talk about the senior center.
Okay, so this was originally an ask for $60,000 to support the senior center, which, by the way, the village established in the 70s, or maybe in the 50s, actually. And we have trimmed that down to $32,000. Normally I don't read, but to try to keep it brief, I'll run through my notes. So I think, first of all, it's important to understand why the village moved forward with this initiative to establish a senior center. Just like we prioritize our youth services here at the Bryan Center, it's very important to think about our seniors and actually all our adults. One of the things that I was reminded of today is that the senior center really is a community center that serves everyone in the community. And of course, we know that, now over 40% of our population are 60 plus. We have committed to be an age-friendly community, and I think it's notable because I always think about return on investment, that over the past several years, we've, through grants, gotten over 40,000 to support the shuttle van at the senior center, the Happy to Chat benches, a website, a variety of other things. It's also important in my mind to note that this request is proportionally much less than what we supported in the 70s, and that the senior center is fiscally responsible. They, in 2024, had over 16,000 visitors. They provide most of their services for free. And so that turns me back to return on investment. I don't know how the village would be able to substitute these transportation, health, access, socialization, other services on our own. And we really need to think about all of the senior centers doing to serve a very important part of our population. And then I wanted to mention, in terms of our village values, besides the fact that we're a welcoming community to all, we prioritize inclusiveness. And I'll finally just say, on top of the amounts that we get through grants and the services that are best suited for the senior center to provide, and the fact that they attract new residents, that ultimately does help with revenues. And finally, the fact that every other senior center is supported on some level in our region by those communities. I think it's really hard to say no this year. So that's my request, is that we support that 32,000, which will be a little bit less than 4% of their operating budget.
Staff feedback.
The only thing we do is dedicated parking spot at Subway parking lot, and a dedicated one here at the village parking lot with signage for the event.
Yeah, I guess I'll just throw in, it's okay to, yeah, this is just another one of these, it's really hard. I thought at the last presentation, I think we talked about the idea that, it sounds like the senior center is looking at a deficit, and I think this is where it's just really tough, because we're looking at a deficit, and so it becomes an interesting dynamic of how does a group looking at a deficit help make up a deficit for somebody else, and honestly, I sit here feeling like really frustrated with the people who have sat here for the last decades that have got us to a point where we have to look at things in this way. But anyway, just to say, this was another one of these, that was the glaring thing, is this, how does a deficit help a deficit? It's just a really tough spot.
Can I just ask, I'm sorry, I should have asked this beforehand, so my apologies. I'm struggling with logistics and how we get the senior center money. And so I guess I'm asking for, we can't from the general fund send just a check to them. Is it going to be like we're doing in kind? I mean, a little bit more than in kind. I'm asking, I really am trying to figure out logistically how on the back end we give the senior center $32,000.
Like a solicitor question.
Yeah, so I'm thinking they'll handle it like they do other sponsorships of different organizations and events. And we do have a policy in place for council to distribute money that way.
Okay.
And I'll add, it's been a while since the utility roundup fund was established, but does not the senior center play a role in that application process? Not anymore?
Not anymore.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks for that. But they used to?
They used to.
Okay.
We've taken it, brought it back in-house, and Florence is handling it.
Okay.
Yeah, I might also just add, because I would rather redirect the focus not on, the fact that, we have a vital organization that's deficit spending, but rather the services that they provide that we are not capable of providing and that are, critical to over 40% of our population. I think it's also interesting, we got a lot of great information, the fact that the senior center does support our police and fire departments through education on scams and diverting some of those problems and whatnot. They employ 18 people, 85% who live in the village, so they pay income taxes, and they have almost 700 members. So anyway, I think there's a real return on investment in this situation, so.
Yeah, and I guess I just want to be clear, I don't disagree with you.
Sure.
Just like, on all the points that have been made are really good. That's certainly not an indication of my lack of support for any of these things. I'm just trying to figure out how do we keep the number.
Any more questions or thoughts? Can we get a motion?
I move that we approve $32,000 to support the operating budget for our Yellow Springs Senior Center.
Second.
Brown.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
No.
Housh.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, the next one on the list is the Cascades project. Kevin, I'll hand it over to you.
Can we do the home repair and then come back to Cascades? I'm looking
That's
for,
actually the
It was supposed
the
to
order.
be, lease to,
Yes. Is it, did we
Yeah.
mess that up?
it's not that way on the agenda, but,
Yeah, I mean,
my
in
apologies.
actual-
Yeah, okay,
stated
good,
lease
good,
to
all right.
most.
yeah,
So we're
Just-
going to speak home repair first?
yes.
Okay, my apologies.
No, not a problem. I was looking for a win. I'm still traumatized by my banner.
Don't do that.
All right, so, first of all, can I ask, was this request not in the previous packet? I mean, I have it, it's on our dais. I was wondering why we had hard copies.
It wasn't in the previous packet. I
Right.
caught it, and so Judy Cram went out to set in front of everybody.
Gotcha.
It just wasn't.
Okay.
You had the information, but none of us.
Right, okay. Gotcha. Thanks for that, Gavin. So what we do have in front of us then is, and I'll just go ahead and read this because it's so, I think I did a great job putting this request together. Yellow Springs Home Inc. is launching major home repairs initiative in 2026 designed to provide critical health, safety, accessibility, and energy-saving repairs to low-income homeowners in Yellow Springs and the neighboring Vale. The total project will invest an estimated $674,100 to support approximately 30 households. The Village of Yellow Springs' proposed contribution of $32,100 represents 5% of the total project allocation, demonstrating municipal commitment to housing security. I mean, I think that says a lot, if it doesn't say it all. Brian touched on the point regarding our aging community, and certainly we, as a village, I mean, if we're going to support individuals, any individuals, I would submit it's going to be those folks on the extremes, those that are in my age group, the older, the seniors, and the younger folks. Yellow Springs Home Inc., and this is in support of Home Inc., but the beneficiaries are more the residents, the older residents and the low-income residents that benefit from home repairs. I didn't make it this year, but last year at the YSHI Home Inc. Annual dinner, there were testimonials about how many households, individuals whose households benefited from these home repairs, people that we know and love individually in our community, how their, roofs and windows and other repairs. I mean, I have been fortunate in my life to this point where, I haven't needed that type of support, but I can certainly imagine needing that support, that type of support. So, all of our village values, we care about housing, stability, safety, affordability, equity and inclusion, community health and safety. And for the sake of time, I won't go on because again, we do have somewhere else to be. But this would be money well spent. And to the points that were raised by Brian regarding the senior community, I just think we ought to be doing something to help folks who are less privileged than I would say most of us. I'll say that, and of course, Emily's here. I sort of think this is not a heavy lift necessarily, but it's there. Again, it's approximately $32,000, and it's in just a portion of what that budget would be in the 5% range. So there you have it. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah, got you.
You said you did
I
not.
said I don't have nothing.
Why is the veil included in this request?
Emily, you want to speak to that? And, oh, there we go. What?
I don't know how.
I got you.
Yeah, Emily Seibel, Executive Director of Home Inc. And yeah, the veil is included because we have access to USDA Housing Preservation Grant money. And because the veil has a double lease, the tenants the residents have a really hard time getting mortgages and home equity lines of credit, et cetera. And so that's just considered part of the service area. We found, it took us a really long time to find a funding source that could apply to the veil, but that's a small portion of the overall request.
So in short, it's filling a gap that no one else is filling.
Yep.
Any other, I'm sorry. Any other comments, especially those in support of the request? So I tongue in cheek, I almost want to ask if we can go back and vote on something that didn't pass, but I won't do that. It's just me being, I'm recovering from the banner thing. But here we are. So, any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay. Well, I move that we support the YSHI Home Repairs Initiative for 2026 in the amount of $32,100. I did not, I'll stop there, which again is 5% of the total budget, total project budget. Is there a second?
Second. Brown.
Okay, I was going to ask with any other conversation, but go ahead, Judy.
Brown.
Yes.
Housh.
Can you come back to me?
Gustafson, when did you arrive? Have you been here for the entirety of the discussion? Are you okay to be called in this vote?
No, I should recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, sorry. So I've got Brown with a yes. DeVore Leonard?
No.
Stokes?
Yes.
Housh?
So I'm going to say no, but I want to make another motion. I move that we approve $20,000 but that those funds need to go to Yellow Springs residents. What's that?
No, but
Okay.
that's already been done, so we've got, the vote failed for $32,100. So Housh has made a motion to instead approve, I'm sorry, can you give me that amount again?
20,000, and that particular funding should go to Yellow Springs
Yellow
residents.
Springs residents only. Is there a second?
Stokes.
And then the discussion is up to you, Kevin, as to whether you're calling that.
So Brian, I do appreciate that. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I think, again, I think this would be money well spent.
Well, and I do want to reiterate, I mean, this is incredibly important, and helping people to, invest, to save on energy is a great way to help people stay in the village and age in place, and again, there is a return on investment. So, I mean, we do get property revenues from that, so.
Anything, well, no, staff didn't have anything. Thank you. Amy, you look concerned. Okay. Just your solicitor face.
Apparently so.
So if do we feel we need any clarity that Emily can perhaps provide? I'm seeing no. Do we feel good?
The 20K?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So we just need to call the vote, right?
Yep.
Housh,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
No.
Stokes.
Yes.
Passes.
Alrighty.
All right, the last item on the agenda is to talk about homing Cascades. And Kevin, that is also you.
Yep. So, we haven't, we had an opportunity to support Homey in the past, and for various reasons, we decided not to, and I was in support of not doing that. But as we move forward, we're looking at now Cascades Phase 2, and I will sort of wrap that up into affordable housing and senior housing. And, regardless of how many other projects might be in the pipeline that would deal with affordable housing and or senior housing, this is the only project that's real as of now, and to my knowledge, has not received a great deal of community pushback, like some of the others have and or will. So the initial ask, and Tiffany, I'm considering the two questions. The initial ask was for 8 waived tap fees and $108,000. And I guess we've done this thing where and Brian, I think 4% was your initial ask for seniors. Senior Center was 4% of their project budget. I think on the home repair, that was 5%. And this $108,000 is 5% of the total project cost. So that's where the numbers come from. Homemaker has done a great deal, given the increased costs and things due to just changes in legislative efforts, rising costs compared to tariffs and different changes in subsidy support. So they've done a great deal of work to close various gaps, but there's still one that's that's out there, and they still have a lot of other work to do in order to put together a competitive project or proposal to the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. So we've been, I know sometimes tap fees can be a hot topic, but they're pretty standard in terms of what folks tend to ask for and what we have tended to support. And I am sensitive to all the concerns that have been expressed concerning our budget and the village's needs. But as I alluded to with the home repair, we do need to put some of our money where our mouth is, if you will. And I hope that didn't sound offensive to anyone, but we do have to do something to help support the issues that we value. And again, there's not a whole lot else being done today to support those who need affordable housing and seniors. So I'm slightly emotionally exhausted because it's been a struggle. And maybe some of it is the fact that I am, as I shared with a smaller group, I am in the mourning process of stepping away from council. And some of these efforts that I've proposed have been things that I'd like to see done, that I hope would get done in my absence. And so to that degree, there is just a little bit of, a little bit more emotion behind them. And I apologize for that, for any lack of professionalism. But again, this is an opportunity for us to do some good. Because again, this is just not happening anywhere else in the village. So Tiffany, I'll hand it to you and/or to council to comment. Oh, I am eight tap fees, and right now what's on the table is $108,000, and I would hope that at the very least, if my colleagues cannot support that amount, that you would consider, a reasonable lesser amount, but perhaps no less than half.
Do you have a motion that includes an amount there? Because I'm lost as to how much you're asking at this point.
I would consider a motion after there are any comments from council. Additional
Right,
comments.
so Johnny, anything?
I thought phase, is phase 2 8 or 6? It's 6, so 6 tap fees.
No, it's 8 tap fees because there are 2 units with sprinklers. That's come up in the past when we wanted to.
Okay,
That's
so,
right.
so if I'm not mistaken, Meg, just put dollars to in-kind or tap fees, that is still over $50,000 in tap fees. That council would need to then reimburse the enterprises. Just so everybody's aware, it's not just, hey, we're gonna waive this cost. It actually comes out of the general fund, goes back into the enterprises, in which that's waived from the enterprises, but it's reimbursed from the general fund. So it is 2 1.5-inch sprinklers, and it is tap fees. And I have to go back, the 108,000, Chris brought in the new president, Leah Klein, and they was looking for $10,000 a unit for a door basically at 60,000. So I'm trying to figure out what the difference from 6 weeks ago from 60,000 to 108,000 for the same project. So.
I can respond to that.
Sure. Emily, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, so that change is because the Ohio Housing Finance Agency released their draft funding guidelines, and they have a new limit per unit on how much subsidy we can apply for, which increased the gap.
And is it 108 or 108 plus
Yeah, and just to clarify, we've fundraised over $260,000 additional dollars for the project since we last came to you. So the original gap has closed, but there's a new gap with the passing of time and tariffs and funding guidelines.
And let me make one more point. Nobody is more aware of how the cost has risen than our staff. I mean, we don't have that funding gap, we don't have that. I was just talking to some people this morning, literally parts that we paid $10 for and we had 100 on the shelf, we now pay $80 for and we have 10 on the shelf. So we're filling everything in all the crunch. So.
And then Johnny, do you want to share the other thing that you mentioned at Finance Committee?
Yeah, I mean, the phase 3 and 4, to my knowledge, has been worked out. Ben can speak to that more. I gave that to Ben as he took the lead on it, but I do think that the Home Inc. has committed to making all the changes for phase 3 and 4.
Great. Okay, well, Kevin, I'm just going to ask, I mean, I have a different motion than maybe what you're going to make, so, but I can wait.
Let's like playing cards. Let's
Okay.
play. So since Johnny mentioned, and I'm going to try to match your motion before you say it. And so I'll just go ahead and go with this. I move that we support this project for a total of $108,000, which is 50 for the tap fees and 58 towards the rest of the project.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay. Judy? Any other comment, council? Okay.
So the waived tap fees they're not waived, they don't disappear. That has to come back into.
So you're essentially approving $108,000 and then 50,000 of it will be dispersed to the
Yeah.
enterprises.
Okay.
Any other
We then
comment?
pay them to the utility company.
Right.
Like, it's not like,
Well, but there's a hard cost to it.
that's what I'm saying. I just don't want people like
Correct.
paying ourselves,
No.
like we're paying ourselves. Ultimately, the money is going to
Correct.
someone else.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, can I just suggest that it be 108,000 inclusive of 8 tap fees, because again, we've referenced the rising cost. We don't know that cost will be $50,000. It could be $60,000 by the time we get there. So if you approve $108,000 inclusive of 8 tap fees, that covers that eventuality.
I support that motion. Brian, let's do have your second.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Judy from Caldwell.
Housh,
Yes.
Gustafson,
No.
Brown,
No.
DeVore Leonard,
No.
Stokes.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay, I'll make a second motion to support 8 tap fees for Cascades too.
Second.
So can I ask a question? Can you tell us what the timeline is, Emily? So are you saying that this is an application that would go in this cycle for, like, so just the timeline? What's the timeline?
Yeah, so the state has been moving it around a lot, which is the only reason why we could wait until this process to come back. But right now, in the second draft guidelines, the funding application is due February 6th or 5th, 2026, and then we'll know if we got funded in April. And we do have to show 100% outside funding sources committed at the time of application.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
Sorry, what was your motion, Brian?
8 tap fees for Cascades Phase 2.
And Stokes seconded.
Stokes, second, thank you.
Hmm?
You ready?
Hmm?
Gustafson,
No.
Housh,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So I just want to say as a side note, by my calculation, we trimmed council initiatives by 2/3. So it was near 400,000. We're now at around 120. So I feel like we followed suit with the village team, and so I'm happy that we did that.
Thanks for that summary, Brian, I appreciate it. I don't have anything in the way of wrap-up. Tiffany, did you have anything?
Yep, just a second.
I love how that, I've been watching you try to put that 19,000.
Yeah, thank you. Just adding in.
Yeah. So I feel like this has been a good process. It's been a positive process. Yeah, again, I do apologize for getting too emotional, but even though I won't be on council in the future, you won't get rid of me. I'll be around in some capacity. I do need to take some time and just get away. Gavin, I do want to say I appreciate your leadership, throughout this process and throughout other deliberations. Really, again, appreciate you so much. I appreciate all of you, all of council. So
You're up here
thank you.
getting, don't be getting all mushy. I can't take it. My kidneys are behind my eyeballs.
So you go to the restroom?
Yeah, or cry. Don't do that.
All right, I'll save it for, I'm going to do a little bit every
We're gonna need
meeting.
like a whole meeting for you.
Right. So maybe I'll just do a little bit each subsequent
I hate
meeting.
crying in public.
I don't mind crying in public, so get ready.
Has anyone cried in public except me? Like,
Well, I've
I've never
definitely,
seen anyone else.
I've definitely cried in an executive session, I remember that. I started to cry in an agenda planning session, and so I left the
There's no
meeting.
crying in agenda planning.
I didn't get that memo, so. But this has been great. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you, village residents, for showing up and your civic engagement. Hand it back to staff. You have anything? Judy, I know it's not, so I'm not even, well, I do want to mention it. Do we have to consider any future agenda items moving forward? Okay.
No, in fact, I think if I'm going to defer to you folks, but I do not believe you will need a third budget meeting. Is
Okay.
that?
So just to wrap this up, with everything in, just very quickly, that sends, it's $132,000 of council initiatives, I'm rounding up a penny, that council just approved. 20,000 of that I had plugged in the Affordable Housing Fund. It is not a general fund direct impact, but the other 112,000 is. And so that brings our deficit to $624,000 from the 512. But we do have, and highlighted in yellow here, are the affordable housing items. It will require, I put 60,000 in there for the tap fees to be a transfer to the Affordable Housing Fund, which we will just work through logistics of how that actually needs to happen. And then we have the 52,000, which is the 20,000 for the America 250, up a penny. And then I do have $19,999.99 in there. And then the 32,000 for the senior center. All noted and in the plan, so.
Can you share the total again for the left?
So coming into council this evening, we were showing a $512,000 deficit spend. With the addition of the council initiatives discussed this evening, that brings our general fund deficit to $624,000.
So I just wanted to say, sorry for being late. My kid's having a last-minute surgery on Monday, and I was waiting all week for a pulmonologist to call me. So that's why I was late. But I just wanted to point out again that I still feel like this amount is significant. I feel like it's our job as council members to provide the taxpayer with a balanced budget instead of overspending. And, you know, if you lose your job, you don't buy the new car, you keep the old car, right? You have to make concessions. And I appreciate, I didn't hear all the discussions, obviously, but I appreciate that council's requests were cut. And I know that there were some cuts that came back again from staff. But I just feel like, you know, we should provide a balanced budget for the taxpayer, and this is still, yeah, I just find it unacceptable.
Duly noted. Thank you, Trish. Is there anything else for the good of the order? All right. Nothing, the chair will entertain a motion and second to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned.